Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by Ricardo Paige. Ricardo, how you doing today, man?
What's up, brother? Doing all right.
Dude, it is so awesome to work with you on my channel. I'm going to call you Mac. This is Mac the All-Star to me. I've worked with you, Mac, a couple times over at the House That Screams, which you're a part of that podcast. And it's an honor to finally have you over here on Sledgehammer Horror, man.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, anytime. This is super, super exciting for me. For those of you that don't know about Mac, first off, you should have listened to the House That Screams by now anyway, because that's where it's at. And if you haven't, the links are still down here in the description. So make sure you're checking it out. He's also the second half of the Action Drunkies. He's about to start recording his own anime podcast called the All-Star Animes. Now, Mac is also part of two voiceover work gigs, one as Apollo for Power Rangers Digital Beast, and the second for a show he voiced the character named Jake Valentine, the Green Power Ranger on Power Ranger Future Protectors. So you are a very, very busy guy with your voice, man. So take us through a typical week with you, man.
Well, a typical week. Well, I still work a 9 to 5, like most of us do. And then usually Sundays, I record with my brother, Cinema Drunkie, Rob, over on the Action Drunkies. And then Thursdays is my days over at the House That Screams if I don't get stuck at work, because there's a good chance of that always. And then usually the episodes for the voiceover work, I'm usually working on my lines before, like, we don't record every week for that. So usually they do an episode at a time, edit it, get it out, and then we get on to the next episode.
That's awesome, man. And like I said, I've worked with Candy, Sean, and Rob here at Sledgehammer Horror. Now I can add you to that list because I listen to the House That Screams all the time. You know, I've been lucky enough to be a guest there twice, and it's something I absolutely adore doing. Yeah, dude. And then, like, to be able to work with all of you here too, it's so cool to have that camaraderie, to bring you over here after all the fun we had talking about Halloween and then talking about Salt Lake City Punk, like these two movies, and then to come over here and just straight talk horror. Now I know growing up, you're all over the place, man. You're like me. It's comic books, it's anime, it's video games, it's everything. So working all those passions into all these different projects. I know coming up, you have your anime podcast coming up. Is that something you're doing with just you on your own? Is that a solo thing?
It's going to be a solo gig, but I'm going to have a lot of guests on there because I know a lot of people love anime. And you might see my brother Rob on there, even though he doesn't really dig with anime. But you're, like I said, if you got something you want to talk about, you're more than welcome to come on as well.
Oh, I guarantee you guys will hear me on there because I love working with these guys. So anytime I get to chime in on anything, I'm more than happy to. So, man, this is so exciting for me. Something else I want to say to everybody. I know I talked about the House That Screams link being in the podcast. That's not the only one. I got all Mac's links down here in the description. So make sure you're giving him a follow on social media. Make sure you're following everything he does in the podcast world. Get ready, because if you're following him, you don't have to wait for me to update you on the stuff that he's doing. So make sure you're throwing him a follow. You stay up to date on everything he's doing. So Mac, I know what you're doing in the future now, with all these different gigs you got going on, and right now with the House That Screams. But my friend, I want to take it back to the past, and I want to talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And if you guys haven't figured it out yet, Mac, your first horror movie was
Child's Play, the 1988 first one. And obviously, if anyone listens to the House That Screams, we all know that, you know, I am not the biggest horror fan in the world, but I had a good guy doll, and Chucky scared the living shit out of me when I was a child.
I still do, my friend.
Oh my God, it's so creepy.
I even got the knife, like the good guy knife. It legit has Chucky written right on the handle, and I always put it in the top. And like me and my daughter, because she's a huge Chucky fan too, and we'll always hide the doll in certain places so my wife stumbles upon it with the knife in the front pocket.
That's what, you know what, and that's what really made it scary for me, because I have an older sister, which I love, my sister Simona, but she would move the doll around and be like, "Nah, I didn't do that. What are you talking about?" And I was young. Like, this came out in '88. I'm 37 now, so I didn't see it in theaters. I might have seen it like early '90s. So I was like, 5, 6, freaking out that my doll was moving around. And then Chucky came on TV, and I remember me and my sister were in our bunk beds. My mom was letting us watch it, and my sister's like, "Oh, you got a good guy doll right there." It's true. You see it on the TV, and I was so young and gullible that I was like, "Oh my god, I need to get rid of this right now."
Right. And the funny part about that is, I'm the oldest sibling in my family too. I did shit like that to my little sister all the time, man. So I think it just comes with the territory, man. Just being an older brother, older sister. I'll fuck with you, but if anybody else does, I'll go Chucky 100%. On them. You know what I mean? So this movie is one that is so influential in the horror genre. I mean, like you said, it started in '88. We're still getting Chucky the TV series now, which is fucking phenomenal. I'm such a huge fan of it. Now, in the first Child's Play, there are so many influential scenes that still stick with us to this day. Do you remember which one it was that affected you the most?
So I have to say the scene with the mom, when she flips the doll over and realizes it's no battery, and he turns around and he's like, "Yeah, you stupid bitch." And
I said, "Talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire."
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut! Did you fuck with me?
Like, that always creeped me out because I never had batteries in my doll. Because I always, like, they would run out, and my mom wasn't trying to buy me Mad D batteries. So, like, that scene right there, and then had my sister like, "See, I told you, you don't even need batteries." Had me scared, yo.
And like you said, one thing that I like to stress to people, because I've had a lot of people be like, "Man, it isn't even scary." I'm like, listen, watching Child's Play as a 35-year-old man, sure. But when you're 6, 7, 8, and all you watch is the fucking Land Before Time and Thundercats, and you've got all these toys, because I was a big WWF dude. I had every WWF toy when I was a kid. So then you watch Chucky, and you're like, "Do these motherfuckers move? Like, is that what time it is?" Like, you know. So as a kid, your imagination just starts to run wild. And I think I've always said, House is my favorite horror movie of all time. But when it comes to horror franchises, easily Child's Play is my favorite. I think it's the most consistent through 9 films. Yes, I do count the remake.
Even when like, so I know I picked this one as my first, but the second one, I believe when he goes off to the military school, that whole situation was crazy. Oh, that's part 3, right? Like, the second one was with the adopted family, and correct? Okay. Even that one in the toy store, and the dolls melting, and him coming up the conveyor belt with the knife on his hand. Like, yo, like, it was a good franchise.
Yeah, I still to this day, Child's Play 3 is my favorite. The one where he goes off to boot camp. Like, I think that's
school,
the military school. That's easily my favorite. There's so much. That's when Chucky really goes overboard with the one-liners. But he's still fucking vicious. Like, everybody's like, "Oh, Chucky's funny in that one." I'm like, dude, he also blows someone up with a grenade, crushes someone in a fucking garbage truck. Like, he switches rounds from paintball to real life, live rounds. Like,
that third one, like, so I always, because when I was younger, I wanted to go to military school. I was a kid that was like, "Yeah, send me to a military academy." And then when I saw that one, I envisioned myself I can't remember his name, but the little black child who
Tyler
who got the good guy though. I was like, "Yo, that could be me. Like, get out of here."
It's fun because I'm still holding out that Tyler will return in the Chucky TV series, because I'd like to see. We just seen Kyle from part 2 come back. You know, I'd love to see somebody from part 3 come back.
Like, if they brought Tyler back, that'd be nice. And some
I would absolutely adore that, man.
Yeah, so, I heard it was good. I haven't checked it out yet.
Oh, you haven't watched the series yet?
I haven't. I heard it was good though. Like, I'm just slacking.
Dude, it really is. It's one of the ones that they have so many Easter eggs and fan service, but it's not overboard with the fan service. Like, they connect so many dots. And it picks up right where Cult of Chucky leaves off. Okay. So I mean, it goes right from Cult of Chucky right into this new one. So it's so great, and it's got so many great kid actors. Devin Sawa is also a part of it. And
nice.
He doesn't have any acid inside of his leg, but he's still killing it, man. He's still running the game in there. So so we know which scene affected you the most, Mac, but what would you say your favorite scene from Child's Play is?
You know what, and this is gonna sound silly because it's not a silly scene, but when so that whole sequence of him going to school, him cutting school, riding a train by himself, walking through the ghetto, this little 6-year-old kid, like, no one batted an eye, and then like, he's walking right in front of the house right before it blew up. that whole sequence of things always like puts a chuckle on my face because I'm like, that would never happen now. A kid that young by himself walking the street, someone would be like, yo, where's your mom at?
Yeah, what the hell's going on? But it's funny because when we grew up, me and you were the same age. So
right.
When we grew up, it wasn't nothing to go walking around town. As long as you were in, when the street lights went out, you knew your ass better be home.
Me and Rob, 10 years old, walking at least a mile or two to go to the movie theater, and no one, like my mom was like, yeah, have a good time. Like, as long as I'm home, and we usually pick the matinee, so I was back in the area by 3. We were good.
Yep. See, that's what my mom said. As long as 1, I better be able to hear her yell, and 2, if the street lights go off, I'm out too fucking late. So those were the 2 things I had.
If I didn't have my house keys, I had to be in by 9. That was my fault because I didn't have my house keys. Because my mom's like, I'm not opening the door.
I'll never forget. My mother passed away, but my mother was my best friend, my hero. And we were talking about curfews and stuff. And I remember at one point, I was probably 13 or 14. And I was like, Mom, just get me a beeper, because beepers were the cool thing then. Yeah, I was like, and you can beep me and I can come home. My mom literally said to me at 13, she goes, Kenny, beepers and pagers are for drug dealers and doctors. And you're not smart enough to be either one. And I was like, damn.
No, my mom said I until I bought my own, I was never allowed to have a pager because it was for drug dealers, doctors, and lawyers, and I was neither smart to be any.
That's so funny. It's just funny listening. Like, we grew up on different sides of the country, but having the same parents that loved us and knew that come on, you're 13, 14. What the fuck do you need this shit for?
Nothing good happens when the sun goes down. Like, granted, mad good stuff happens when the sun goes down. But when you're that age, nothing good happens when the sun goes down.
Because my mom said the same shit to me that I say to my kids. Like, yeah, that's cool. You go do your thing. But if any windows get broken, anything catches on fire, I don't give a fuck. I'm beating your ass. So you better hope that nothing goes down while you're gone. Now, with Child's Play, we talked about which scene affected you the most and what your favorite scene was. But we can't talk about horror in general without talking about the kills. It's something we all love. We all gravitate to. Mac, what would you say your favorite kill from the original Child's Play is?
Kind of like, all right, so it's kind of, I got like 2. So when he blew up my man in the house, how he put the fire out and just let the gas roll, so my man could pretty much kill himself because he shot the gun. And then it wasn't really a kill. But when the detective was like, come on, see, this ain't real. Like, what is wrong with you? And my man grabbed out the wall and was like choking him up. It's like, choke him, telling himself to choke him. Oh, so good. But also the friend going out the window right in the beginning. They give you some good stuff. Like, it's you get a little vibe of like, the mom is a hardworking mother like most single moms do for their child. She works at a shit job. The friend is a good friend that's like, yo, I got you. I know you got to work. And Chucky's like, yo, you turned off the news, man. Like, I'm just trying to watch the news. You're going out the window. Like, that was right. And that's like within the first, 10, 15 minutes. Like, that's nice.
She gets the hammer to the head. And then, she's stumbling back, trying to grab the shit. Then she goes out the window for the most epic fall. And then just boom, right on top of that truck.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you're talking about that. And I absolutely love that scene as well. But I want to go back to something you said a minute ago when at the end, he comes out of that vent and he's choking that other detective and how they're sitting there and the detective's like, okay, now I believe you.
Right. But
who's going to believe us? Like, that's one of the lines that stuck with me, man. Because what do you say at this point?
I don't know. See, I'm an out the box person as is. So if I was the captain of this unit and 2 of my officers and a sane woman was like, yo, this is what's going down, I would at least be like, all right, let's let's try to find some type of test that we can bring this for at least some more eyes. But also, at that time, that's how horror movies were. Like, who's gonna believe us? Even with like Freddy and people know who Michael Myers is, but Freddy, he's in your dreams. When he killed my man Johnny Depp in his waterbed, like, who's gonna believe that? Someone from your dreams came and got you. So, I mean, I think that also plays to the joy of horror movies because you already know, like, unless you witness it, ain't no one gonna believe you.
Right. But I do love after he gets thrown in the fire and he gets out and he's standing there and he's all burned up and the camera's panning up on him and you see he's all melted. I fucking love that, man. That's so much fun to just watch that scene right there of him being all burned up, getting ready to attack Andy.
Now, I've always had a question about Chucky, because obviously he's Charles Lee Ray inside this doll's body. So then the doll's not real. Like, it could be melted all down and then reformed into, like, let's just say another doll shape. Would Charles Lee Ray still be inside this doll? Like, you know what I mean?
I think so. And it's funny because in Curse, have you seen Cult of Chucky yet?
I haven't.
Oh, that explains a lot about what you're asking. But
okay,
he's able to break his soul off into different parts. And in Cult of Chucky, there's different Chucky dolls. That was supposed to happen in Child's Play 3. Okay. At the beginning of Child's Play 3, when you have the hooks come down and they pierce it, and it goes over top of that vat, and all his blood goes into that vat of molten plastic. That was supposed to create a bunch of different Chuckies because it had the blood in there. Right. But the studio didn't want to shoot out the budget to have all these different animatronics running around. So in Cult of Chucky and in the new TV series, you see how he splits off into different Chucky dolls and how it's fucking cool, dude. I would strongly recommend checking out, because it kind of went downhill with Seed of Chucky. Right. I still think the kills.
That's like where I stopped. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to, like, it wasn't garbage, but it was like, I felt like it had run its course. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You need to watch Curse and Cult, Matt, because I promise you, like, these two movies, like, they're scary, they're funny. The cinematography is probably the best of the whole franchise in Cult and Curse, or Curse and Cult. They go in that order. Right. But Brad Dourif's daughter, his real life daughter, is the girl in these. And in the new TV show, when they do flashbacks of Brad Dourif, she plays her dad, Brad Dourif, with a little makeup on, and it fucking looks just like him, dude. It's fucking crazy. I'm
definitely gonna have to check that out. It's on Sci-Fi, correct?
Yep. Yeah, dude, please. I promise you'll love it. But you got to watch Curse and Cult first, because then you'll get all caught up on where we're at. Okay.
That sounds like a nice weekend.
Oh, dude. Yeah, for sure. So something I usually ask people, obviously with Child's Play, they've already had a remake. I usually ask people, would you like to see this movie remade today? Since it's already been done, have you seen the Child's Play remake? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
I did not like the way that Chucky looked. And, you said you like wrestling earlier. I call AJ Styles Baby Chucky, because the new Child's Play, he looks like AJ Styles. Like, but other than that, so Rob tends to say I'm very generous with movies, and that's because I go into I'm a pothead, so I go into a lot of things open-minded. Like, you know what I mean? So I can always find something almost in any movie I watch that I could be like, all right, that was all right. But if I had to like choose, I watched Child's Play for the purposes of this discussion, just so make sure I wasn't out here sounding stupid. And that, man, is still good. It's still, I would rather watch this than the new remake, like 1988, whatever they had going on. The kid is so cute. Like just everything about it was just so good that I would rather watch this over than the new one made.
See, and I feel you. I like the original better, but I am a huge fan of the remake. I think the remake was well done. I love the fact that they made it their own. It's a whole new story, a whole new character. You couldn't do Charles Lee Ray again. Charles Lee Ray is already done. It's already been done perfect. Make something new. To me, that's where the Nightmare on Elm Street remake fell short. They tried to redo who Freddy Krueger was, and that failed because of it. With this Child's Play remake, they said, you know what? That's already been done. And it's already been done well. How can we take this, modernize it for a younger audience, but still have the skeleton for the older people that still loved the original? So that and Evil Dead are probably my favorite remakes of all time, to be honest with you.
You know what? I haven't even seen the remake for Evil Dead. And every time I come across it, I'm like, is this Evil Dead or the remake? Like, you know what I mean?
Dude, you honestly, and I get shit for this, I think the Evil Dead remake is the second best one in that franchise behind Evil Dead 2. I would choose the Evil Dead remake over the original and Army of Darkness when it comes to being a good movie.
Oh, shit. Shout out, Candy. We love you. Don't let her hear that.
Yep. That's why I brought it up.
All right.
But it's crazy because, like, in the remake, it's not just like a bunch of kids going off to party in a cabin in the woods. The she has a really bad heroin addiction. So they're taking their friend out to kick this heroin addiction so they can get away from society, away from, her dealers and shit. And like, that's what I love about it. It's super smart. It's not, hey, let's go get fucked up in the woods and oh shit, something happened. They're there for a good reason and they won't leave because she's already done this before at a clinic and she left and overdosed and died and they had to bring her back. So they're like, no matter what she does, no matter what she says, we can't let her leave because if she does, she's gonna die this time. So they have a really smart reason for going and an even smarter reason for sticking around. Fede Alvarez really had a great idea when it came to his remake, and I'm glad Sam Raimi jumped on it because we got a whole new movie that is so worth the time, man. And it's fucking bloody and gory.
I'll definitely check it out. You can ask Rob next time you speak to him. I'm the worst when it comes to move. You ask me anything anime related, oh, I turn into Rain Man because like I'm a junkie if you ask my wife. But when it comes to like even for our action show, yes, I've watched a lot of action movies. I'm well versed in the movie world, but not like you guys. You guys are on a pro level, like, you know what I mean? Usually for the House of Screams or the Action Drunkies, I usually have to watch the movie again. And usually on the House of Scream, it's a first take, like first time seeing it. What do you think, Mac? You know what I mean? But
that's what I love because with the House that Screams, you get all these different perspectives. You got the people that have aged with it, but then you get a brand new perspective. Like I just watched this, and like I talked earlier, the camaraderie. We're like Rob was like, SLC Punk was not my fucking thing, but Candy, happy birthday, I love you, I'll do this for you. Right. Like that's what movies mean to you guys. That's what each other means to you guys. That's why I love working with you guys so much.
For them to do, because that was actually a movie where if people who've listened notice, I probably talked the most because I love that movie.
You were using your white privilege that whole time.
I was definitely flexing my white privilege.
See, and if you guys listen to the episode, you'll get that reference. So the link is down here in the description. So I got a couple more questions for you before we go. Now, since we are talking about a franchise, I always ask, obviously it's the 7 film when it's the Chucky part of it, but would you say the original is your favorite of this franchise, or
100%.
What is your favorite in the Child's Play?
So honestly, there's 9, and I'm not even going to try to disrespect myself by even giving them all a ranking, but I definitely go 1, 3, 2.
Yeah. Fair. I go 3, 2, 1. Like I'm right there with you, man. Like those 3, you can't top them. Now again, I love Bride. Right. I don't think Seed is as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
No,
I think
I mean, I felt like it got a little weird with his child.
Right.
I did like who they picked to be his wife. Like I think that was a good casting call. I like her as an actress. I don't have her name off the top of my head, but
Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, I like her. I thought she was perfect for that role. What they did with his son, I mean, I got it. It was a little.
I like how they were trying to be progressive with the LGBTQ thing before that was in the foreground. I just thought it was handled kind of weak. The way like they handled it kind of shitty.
Right. They could have definitely did it in a better way.
And I think the kills in that, like I said earlier, I think the kills in that are some of the best in the whole franchise. Like, when you get the John Waters with the acid falling on his face, or Redman getting eviscerated right there.
It's also a different time, right? Like kills now are as they progress from 88 to where that movie came in, you have to be more gorier. You have to have more wow factors in your kill because then kids or people in that time frame aren't like from the era. Like a child probably would have saw that and been really scared because of the blood factor. You know what I mean? But that same child might not have been as afraid from watching the original in 88 because times are different. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, if you want proof on how that affects kids, take a kid right now and watch Saw with them and then watch Jaws with them and watch how they're like, Jaws is fucking stupid. This is boring,
Right. And shout out to you for referencing my wife's favorite movie of all times. She fancies herself as a shark aficionado, which she is.
There we go.
But Jaws is like her thing.
And that's an amazing segue, man, because my buddy like we talked about your first horror movie, but now Mac, my buddy Ghostface has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Mac? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Favorite horror movie of all times? You know what? it's now times is how crazy it's gonna sound. It's like a tie between the two, Hereditary and Midsommar. Those movies were crazy, and Malignant. Like those three movies right there, like actually put a little heebie-jeebies in me, and I'm 37 years old.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I've never in my life, 35 years old, I've had 2 movie theater experiences that shook me. The first one was when we saw the original Saw movie, and John Kramer stood up at the end. You felt the whole crowd go,
yeah.
Like you just felt it.
No, that was a good moment. Yeah.
The other, I'm not going to spoil it because it's fairly new, but the scene in Hereditary.
Oh,
when the scene happened, because we went opening night, and when the scene happened, the whole theater audibly,
no,
we all just sat there.
It's funny because my wife,
I have little emo goosebumps right now, like no joke. Every time I talk about this, man, because you just felt it in that whole theater.
My God. No, like, so my wife is she's not a horror person at all. And anything that could be remotely like real, like exorcism stuff, she ain't with that at all. And we watched that movie, and it's a slow burn. I'm not gonna spoil nothing, but it's definitely a slow burn. And she was like, this is whack. And then when it started getting popping, she was like, all right, we could just like turn this off. And I was like, no, we're here. It's Halloween night. We watching this.
Dude, and I'll tell you right now, not only did that scene affect me, but the one almost this right here. That shit got me, dude. I was like,
that whole movie's wild. It's a slow burn, but once it gets going, it gets going.
Dude, like the sound design throughout that whole movie is fantastic. And
see, I like things like
downright, dude, it's downright fucking criminal. And I mean fucking punishable by 50 to 75 years that Toni Collette did not get nominated for an Oscar for that film. Like,
like I know this is a horror show. We're talking about first and like favorites, but I'm one of those guys that like I like things like that in my movies. If you make me think, or if you give me nice musical subtle change cues, man, and that also comes from my anime background. Anime is like that. I watch sub over dub because sub, and everyone's like, oh, but you got to read. But it's the original way put out, so the music cues are different. Just how the words flow out in a certain tone, like bring a tear to my eye. And then like my wife's like, what are you crying for, man? It's because I could feel it. And I like my movies like that.
Well, dude, I've talked about horror is so subjective. The scariest movie for me that I've ever seen is probably The Day After Tomorrow. Like that movie legit scared the fuck out of me. The movie that this is gonna sound so stupid. I've never talked about this on the podcast. I talked about it on a live episode we did, but the movie that traumatized me the most is The Truman Show featuring Jim Carrey. Something snapped at me after watching that movie, and like I ended up having to go to the hospital. I had to get on a bunch of different medications because I felt like someone was trying to hint to me that was my life, that I was
and
trapped.
A lot of people probably felt like you when that movie came out, because I know I did. I was like, yo, Big Brother. That was like one of the movies that first put Big Brother's watching you on the on like the precipice, and most people be like, oh, it was just Jim Carrey movie, haha. But people who are like to use their brains and think a little bit are like, yo, they might be onto something.
Dude, I can't watch this movie to this day. Like I can't do it. Like it fucked me up. Like I said, I'm on antipsychotic medications and everything because like I legit was like yelling at some lady out in the Speedway parking lot, like, please just tell me I'm going crazy. What's happening? Like, dude, it fucked me. Again, I was really bad into other things at that time too.
Yeah,
stay off drugs, guys.
Unless it's grown from the earth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. See, the things I did were not. So I want to bounce back to Child's Play for a minute, my friend, before I let you go. I got one last question. We're going to go back to Child's Play. We're going to rank this on a skull count. Now, Mac, we're not ranking it on production, quality, acting, score, nothing like that. We're not being critics. What we're doing now is judging this movie strictly on just how much it affected you when you watched it as a kid. So 0 skulls being the worst, 5 being the best. You can use half and quarter skulls. What would you give my little buddy Charles Lee Ray here on his ranking?
That's a 5, man. I was a child. I was like, a lot of things don't scare me, like I've said. And that Child's Play, vividly remember scaring me. Like,
Mhm.
and I've done some sketchy things in my life where I'm like, oh shit, that's kind of scary. But no, that like I had nightmares. Like I
Right.
did not want to play with my good guy doll. Like I was like, we're done with that.
Oh,
So
what?
5.
What was it? Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Right.
He says you better just let him watch the 9 o'clock news, Mac.
I would.
That's what he's telling me.
I would, and I would sit there and watch it with him. Like, what's going on?
If you hear about Eddie Caputo, you better keep that news channel on, brother.
Listen, I would be like, yo, how we getting these guys? Can I get some money? I'm broke.
Man, Mac, again, this has been such an honor to have you. I've been looking forward to this
pleasure.
all week, man. And when we finally were able to get together, I was so excited to be able to do this. I said it at the beginning, I said it in the middle, but you got to have it in the third act as well, guys. All his links are in the description. He's just a click away, so you can stay up to everything he's doing. When the new podcast comes out, I will go back and I will add it. So if you're watching this a little late, his anime podcast may already be down here. So make sure you guys are checking him out. Mac, don't go anywhere, brother. I got a couple more questions for you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Everyone else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.